looking at the UNISA Theory of Music Grade 3 October 2023 past paper. Now, I have previously made a video on the May 2023 past paper, so please be sure to check that out. There I do go into some different detail on some of the questions, so please do make sure that you watch that video in conjunction with this video to feel fully prepared for your UNISA Grade 3 Music Theory paper. Now, before we hop into the official past paper, I would like to point out a few admin things. So first things first, you will be getting a UNISA booklet in your examination. So in the past, the booklets have been multicolored on the outside. For instance, it could be pink covers, green covers, blue covers, but most recently, most of them have just been white covers. But that's okay. We're still getting a good quality paper on the inside, and the pages were going to be printed black ink on white paper anyway. We do need to fill in all the questions on the question paper using a pencil. Even when it comes to terms and signs, even when it comes to whatever you might think, oh, I can write this in pen, do not. We're treating this as if it's a nice mathematical worked out paper, which in most ways it is a very systematic, musically worked out paper, and we do all of this in pencil on paper. So make sure you have your pencil, your eraser, your ruler, because hey, you might be needing to draw bar lines and stems, and they do need rulers to be drawn nice and neatly. After a while, when you do this forever and a day, you most likely can draw very neat things without a ruler, but please do bring a ruler, a highlighter if you would like to, but don't bring a pen. And no correction fluid, because if you don't bring a pen, why would you need to correct something or scratch something out? We are using a pencil and paper. And then when it comes to the total for this paper, as with all UNISA Theory of Music papers, we are at a total of 100 marks. And then just naturally, it converts itself into a percentage. Whatever you get out of 100 is also your percentage. With grade 3 level, you are allocated 90 minutes within which you will write. And of course, you have to sit for at least 45 minutes, after which you may leave. But please do write as thoroughly as you can, and then check through your work as thoroughly as you can. Okay. So the pass mark here is 50. You need 50 to at least pass. At least a 70% will see you getting merit. 80% is distinction. And then at this level still, 90% plus will be your roll of honor, which is a huge honor. Actually, it's quite difficult to get above 90 for these papers, but not impossible. So let's hop right into this work and let's see if we can get you in the 90 plus category. In question 1, we have grouping. Now, of course, grouping can take many forms. It can be take this horribly grouped thing and rewrite it. Or here is a bar, it's missing notes, fill it in. Or here is a bar, it's missing rests, fill it in. Now in this very paper we have 1.1, 1.2 and 1.3, which asks of us to write a suitable rest or rests under each of the asterisks so as to complete the bars. So here are bars, give me the rests when necessary. So in the first line we have a single bar in which we need to fill in rests. Then in 1.2 we have 2 bars where there are asterisks, and there we need to fill in either a rest or rests. And in 1.3 there is a single bar in which we need to fill in the rests to make the bar complete. Now the nice thing is that they do give us other bars that are full, and they don't just give us this for nothing. Yes, it's pretty. Yes, we can see, oh yes, there's nothing we need to fill in there, but they do give some hints away as to, hey, how do beats work in this time signature? How do subdivisions of beats work in this time signature? How do triplets work in this time signature? So you can see in 1.1 we are in 6/8 time, meaning we need 2 dotted crochet beats in a bar. And of course, when we're thinking about compound time, we don't just think about our top layer of beats, we also think about our subdivisions, our bum 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 1 2 3 4 5 6. We have an undercurrent of 3 identical things that are sort of grouped together in a beat. Here we have quavers, so we have 6 quavers in a bar for 6/8, and each are grouped 3 3. So we have 1 2 beats total, and we need a dotted crochet here for beat 1 and a dotted crochet here for beat 2. So when we see those missing rests in bar 2, we can already see that beat 1 is full. That's already a complete dotted crochet beat. Now we need to make sure that beat 2 gets completed. So we have a semiquaver, which means we're missing quite a bit of our beat 2. So when you think about how we group in 6/8, we have a dotted crochet, or we can also think in our subdivision. So we can think in 3 quavers. And right now, the whole idea of just thinking in my top beats, a single dotted crochet beat, is quite helpful because I can put a crochet rest And then if I'm left over with a semi-quaver note, what kind of a rest do I need to make this whole beat complete? I need my semi-quaver rest this time. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my crotchet rest and my semi-quaver rest there. Then 1.2, we're in 3/4 time. Now, good things about 3/4. We know that we have 3 crotchet beats, normal crotchet beats this time, because we're in simple time. Woohoo! So no compounding, no dotted anythings in the beats, normal beats. We have 3 crotchet beats in a bar here. And when we think about rests, we're not allowed to group beats 2 and 3 together. Okay, so we tackle this. We have 2 bars in which we need to fill in rest. So let's look at the very first bar. There they give us a quaver, there's some separation, and then they give us quaver triplets. So of course we know how triplets work. 3 notes in the time of 2 in that very rhythmic pattern. So if I have 3 quavers, it means I'm playing those quavers in the time it would usually take me to play 2 quavers. If I have triplet crotchets, it means that I have to play 3 crotchets in the time that it would usually take to play 2 crotchets. So back to the quaver thing here. We have 3 quavers that are grouped together as triplets, which means they will take up the time that 2 quavers usually take, which is, you know, a full crotchet beat in 3/4 time. So our beat 3 is sorted. We're basically missing a whole beat 2 and then part of beat 1. What I'm first going to do is build up that part of the beat that they first give me, but I'm missing. So the first beat, I'm going to fill that up. So a quaver, what do I need to get to a crotchet? Of course, a quaver rest. So I'm putting in a quaver rest. Then my whole beat 2 is missing, so I'm just going to fill in a crotchet beat there. So I have a quaver rest and a crotchet rest. Off to the next bar, because that one's complete. In the next bar, we have ta taka on the first beat. So we actually have a full crotchet beat there. We're missing something in beat 2. And then beat 3 is again 3 quavers. They're beat together as triplets, which means they're played in the time of 2 quavers. So that means we have a full beat there. So beat 1 is sorted. Beat 3 is sorted. It's just beat 2, a little bit in the middle. So we have a dotted quaver there. And in order for us to make a full crotchet, we just need a semi-quaver rest. So I think they're just testing out your ability here to write a semi-quaver rest. But it couldn't be easier than that. Write a semi-quaver rest there. And you will see that the mark allocation here is 7. So you'll get a mark for each rest. So we had 2 rests in 1.1 and now we've had 3 rests in 1.2. So if you've already put down 5 rests, we're expecting to put down 2 more rests in 1.3 so that we can get a total of 7 marks. Okay, so on to 1.3. We are in 4/2 time here, which is an interesting one. So this is a simple time signature. We are in quadruple time here because we have 4 beats, but our beats are no longer crotchet beats. We actually have minim beats. So 4/2, we have 4 minim beats, and we need to outline that on top so that we can know what to do, what not to do, etc. So we can already see what's up in the 3 bars where we are not required to write rests. But our main focus is going to be on the bar where we do need to fill in rests. So we will see that we have a dotted minim, which is basically a beat and a half of another beat. But basically our beat 1 is sorted. Then if you look right at the back, we have triplet quavers and a crotchet. And together they will make up a full beat, a full minim beat. So we're actually missing something here in the middle. And what we know about the middle of a bar in quadruple time, we know we cannot group beats 2 and 3 together when it comes to rests. So we're going to have to do some separation. Now our whole beat 3 is missing. And what is beat 3? If we think about this now in terms of rests, this is just purely theoretical. So we will never have a bar that has 4 minim rests in it. Basically, if we're thinking about how our beats look just at the basic level, in terms of rest, this is how it would look. So on that beat 3, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my minim rest because that's what I'm missing. I'm missing a whole beat. So let me put in my minim beat rest there. Then in beat 2, I'm only missing half of that minim. And what is half of a minim? Musical maths. It's a crotchet. So I'll have to go ahead and put there a crotchet as well as a minim rest. And there you have it, all 7 rests. And that wraps up question 1. Question 2 is all about scales. So we're given 3 scales that are worth 6 marks each. So if you get this full question right, we will be adding 18 marks, also known as 18% to our total. Now, at this level in the UNISA Theory of Music paper, they can either ask us to write the scales with or without key signatures, and we definitely do have a hopeful heart that they ask us with key signatures so that we can actually write down our key signature in the beginning beginning of our work, just next to our stave, and then we don't have to worry about any sharps or flats or accidentals in the scale unless we are dealing with minors. But then we actually have a minor role to play because it will just be a raising of this or flattening of that, and it's done. We don't have to think about each individual sharp or flat. But in the May 2023 paper, they weren't so kind to us. We had to write scales without key signature. But luckily, we are dealing with October 2023 today, and here they asked us to write the following scales with key signatures, and even in brackets to clarify for us without accidentals, using the given rhythmic patterns. Here we also are asked to indicate the semitones by mean of a slur, and yet again, this does not mean that you're going to slur your scales in real life. It is just a means by which we indicate the semitones in this case. Some exam boards like us to indicate it with a rectangular bracket, or we can even circle it, but here we are asked to make a slur, and we slur at the note heads. So of course, if our note heads are at the bottom, we're going to slur at the bottom. If our note heads are at the top, we are going to slur at the top. And if there is a combination, for instance, we're going from this to that, we can do either this note head to that note head like that, as long as it's neat, or this note head to that note head like that, as long as it's neat. We have choices when it comes to this type of one, but as long as we can directly see you're going from a note head intentionally to another note head, your slurs will be indicated properly. So here we have 3 scales that we need to answer. We have G melodic minor ascending in the bass clef. We have F harmonic minor ascending in the treble clef. And then finally we have E major descending in the bass clef. Now with all of these scales, they give us the clue about their keys. So that's the very first thing we're going to do. We're going to put in key signature and then time signature. They do show us the time signatures before the rhythmic pattern. Then we're going to make sure we have our 8 notes. And of course, it's easy to follow the pattern because they give us 8 notes. So if we're skipping anything and we come to the end and they have an extra note there and we didn't fill in something, we can know, woo, we are wrong. So that's kind of nice because we can check up on ourselves that way. But just to illustrate the main difference between a normal written scale and then a rhythmic scale is if we were to write G melodic minor in the bass clef with key signature, just without any rhythmic pattern. I mean, we usually just wrote them on fat semibreves, but technically you can write them on any note value you wish, but semibreves are the easiest, just circles, up and down, or down and up. So in this case, we're going ascending, so we're going from the bottom. So this would be a non-rhythmic scale. I'm just putting everything in fat semibreves. I have my 8 notes. Then I think, oh, in a melodic minor, what must I raise? Okay, I must raise the 6th degree and the 7th degree. The 6th degree was E flat, now it becomes E natural. The 7th degree was F natural, now it becomes F sharp. I put in my semitones, and in a melodic minor, the semitones lie between 2, 3, and 7 and 8, and then I would be done. But now the difference here is that we actually need to put this in a rhythm. So we just need to make sure that we are hitting the correct notes, having our stems go in the correct direction, beaming the stems nicely together where necessary, indicating triplets, indicating dotted notes, indicating whatever that they give us on the page as systematically and as neatly as possible, and then we're good to go. So same first step, we put in our key signature, but then of course we need our time signature. In this case we are in 6/8. Now they also go ahead and give us our bars. So they give us 2 bars here, and they do give us a rhythmic pattern, woohoo, on top. So now we just need to make sure that we are filling in our notes accordingly. So they first do give us a dotted quaver G. I'm just going to write it like that for now. We go up. I'll put in my note heads first, and this is what we have. Then we can go ahead and finalize what we need to finalize. We have that going for us. And then finally we have 2 dotted crotchets. So we have this. Let's make sure our stem goes in the right direction. Okay, dotted. Then we need to make sure about our raising because we are in a melodic minor ascending. Then we need to go ahead and put in our semitones. We're going to indicate it between 2, 3 and 7 and 8. And there you will have your 6 marks. So go ahead and do the same thing rhythmically with the next 2 scales. So we have F harmonic minor, E major. Remember to first put in your key signature, then the time signature that they give you. Write down your 8 notes. Remember to go in the right direction. Remember that your first degree of a scale is always the lowest note, right? So for instance, when I'm ascending, I know that these are my scale degrees, but when I'm descending, they're of course going to go backwards because they're going to go from highest note to lowest note. Now the lowest note will always be scale degree 1, and this becomes very important when you think about your semitones. Next, you will add in any raised notes or lowered notes, depending if you are in a harmonic minor or a melodic minor, ascending or descending. And you know, if you're just in a major, you can just leave it like that and then just go over to your last step, which will be the last step in every single scale writing exercise. Fill in your semitones and then you can move on. So that is question 2. In question 3.1, we are given a nice little musical example. They do tell us, study the given music example and identify the bracketed intervals according to type and distance. So are we at a unison? Do we have a second, a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth? And do we have a major interval, a minor interval, or a perfect interval? So at this stage, we're only dealing with those types of intervals: major, minor, and perfect. Now we know that our perfect intervals lie on our unison, so 1, and then we have our fourth and our fifth, and then we also have a perfect octave, so 1, 4, 5, 8, so to speak, and the rest can either be major or minor. Now, when it comes to this exercise, we definitely have to pay attention to the exercise as a whole. So perspective is everything, and context is everything. So perspective and context, that'll be our everything in this case. So definitely we can see that we have a nice key for us there. We have 4 flats and we are in A flat major here. So that's very important because we have a B flat, an E flat, an A flat, and a D flat in this key. So we need to make sure that the notes which we are studying are the correct notes. So if we see a C to an E flat, we can't just look at the 2 notes and say, oh, this is a C, this is an E. No, it's not, because look at your key signature. Yes, that's a C because the key signature doesn't affect the C, but the E is affected. Rather, it is an E flat, it's not an E. Woohoo! So let's get our spelling of our notes correct right from the get-go. Okay, and when we do look at these intervals in context, remember that we're always looking at the interval from the lowest note up. Even if the very first note that they give us is actually a higher note, we're actually looking at the scale from the lowest degree up, because that's how we indicate and understand intervals. Not from the top down, but from the bottom up. So they do indicate our scales for us in rectangular brackets, as well as with small baby Roman numeral letters. So let's go ahead and answer our questions. First things first, they do ask us in the treble clef, C to E flat. So then we need to think in the key of our lowest note, which is of course C. So in C major, we're not expecting any sharps or flats to bite us. So that's great. Then we think of our E flat. Okay, so that third is now a low third in C major, because in C major we're expecting an E. This is a flattened third. So we have a minor third here. Between C and E flat, we have a minor third. Then our second question, look there is a little bass clef, sneaky coming for us there. So we are looking at the notes E flat and B flat. So we have to think in the key of our lowest note, E flat major, and this should be off the tip of our tongue. We should know that E flat major has 3 flats, and yes, B flat is one of them. So E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat. We have a perfect fifth here. Don't be writing major fifth because there is no such thing. It is a perfect fifth. Then we have our third question, which asks of us to go from an E flat to an F. Very small interval here. So we're thinking in the key of E flat major yet again. And that's just a major second because E flat to F is a major second. Our next question asks of us to look at the 2 notes, A flat and C. Now the C is the lowest note, so we're actually going to be thinking in C major. So we're thinking C and A flat, not A flat and C. Okay, so we're putting the lowest note low and then the note on top of that above it. So, not rocket science, but don't go thinking in the key of A flat major now. Think in the key of C major because that is our lowest note. So C to A flat, that is a minor sixth. Now, of course, there will be at least one of these trick questions in your paper. So do make sure that when you see intervals next to each other, but the first one is actually higher than the low one, that you're still reading from the low one up. Our next question asks of us the interval between E flat and G. And yes, we know our key in E flat by now because this has come up a few times in this very question alone. So yes, we have a major third here because E flat to G is merely a major third. Then our last question, they ask of us to go from E flat yet again, this time to A flat, and that is a perfect fourth. And personally, I quite like this question. It's merely recognition of intervals. I know that in the previous paper, May 2023, they asked of us to write intervals. Also not difficult, but I mean, be prepared for either one, the writing or the recognition. So make sure that you're equipped in both of them. And of course, you're allowed to have a favorite. This one's my favorite. And do be sure to be very systematic here, because you will be getting a mark for your interval type as well as your distance. So for instance, our very last one, we said it's a perfect fourth, so we will get a mark for perfect and we will get a mark for fourth. So we have 6 questions here. So if we get times 2 for every question for this subsection, we will be getting 12%. In question 3.2, we are given yet another musical comprehension. Yay! So they do tell us here to study the given music example, yet again, just a different music example, and then we need to carry out the instructions that follow. So they give us a nice little extract. They like to give us piano type extracts. So with the grand staff, we have treble and bass clef. This is just the norm. So whether you are a single melodic line player when it comes to your instrument, we definitely have to know how to read music piano style, because this is what music theory asks of us. And no matter what type of instrument we play, we always need to understand how 2 clefs work together, especially the grand staff of treble and bass clef. And by now I hope that you are used to it, but if not, make sure that you are by the end of this level, because it just gets more and more and more from here. We add clefs even from grade 4 level onwards. So do make sure that you understand working in both treble and bass clef already. So we are asked now to give the technical name of each of the circled notes. So our technical names, we know it. We have tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading note, and tonic again. So for our high tonic, so to speak, we can either call it the upper tonic, but I mean, in general, how would we know what's high or what's not high? I mean, if there's an E in E major, it's a tonic, no matter if it's a very low E, if it's a very mid E, or if it's a high E. E is E, so tonic is tonic. But we are asked to apply our skills according to the key that we see here, and here is a key with 4 sharps. Now, of course, we know when you see 4 sharps, you can either be in E major or C sharp minor. Woohoo, how will we know? Well, if it's an E major, we expect to start on an E and surround ourselves around E, and maybe dominant to tonic there, so B to E. But if we're in C sharp minor, we expect dominant to tonic type progression at a cadence point there. We expect maybe to start on a C sharp or start on a G sharp, C sharp, just because of dominant tonic. We also then expect to see the raised 7th. So we are thinking to see a lot of B sharps if we are in that key, but don't see any of those. And we actually do happen to start on E in this extract. So we're leaning towards E major. So if we have our key correct, we can actually name our technical names. So for instance, our very first note indicated to us again by a baby letter Roman numeral, that is an F sharp. Okay, and again, when you speak about these notes, even in your mind to yourself, be kind and spell them correctly. Don't say it's an F, because it's not. It's an F sharp. We just said we're in E major. Okay, so even when you talk to yourself, spell your notes correctly. Thank you. I mean, if you were expected to play this, I would hope that you wouldn't play an F, but that you would play an F sharp. Okay, so our first note is an F sharp. And what is F sharp in E? In E major, that is the supertonic. It is the 2nd degree there. Our second note that is indicated for us is actually indicated in the left hand of the piano music, but it is indicated for the treble clef. So make sure that you read it correctly. It is not a D sharp, okay? It is actually a B. A, B, and B in E major is the dominant. Then our third question note is indicated for us back in the bass clef. We have a C sharp there, and C sharp in E major is the submediant. That is the 6th degree of the scale. Our fourth note is indicated to us in the bass clef. It is an A, and of course A in E major is the subdominant, the 4th degree of the scale. Our fifth note is indicated to us in the treble clef. It is on a D sharp, and a D sharp in E major is the leading note. Lastly, we're asked to identify a note, again in the treble clef. It is a G sharp, and a G sharp in E major is merely the mediant, because if we're counting E, F sharp, G sharp, it's the 3rd note, so that is the mediant. Remember to spell these notes correctly. We don't get a lot of spelling in the music theory at this level, but this is one of those questions where you have to spell correctly. Our next question is, please name the key of this music example. Now, we wouldn't even have been able to do the previous question if we didn't know the key, but this is just a confirmation, so we can just merely put down E major, and we will get 2 marks for just naming the correct key. So please do put it down correctly. Then we need to state whether this extract is in simple or compound time. So are our beats in normal note values or are they in dotted note values? And are we dealing with duple, triple or quadruple time? So meaning, are we 2 time, 3 time or 4 time? Now of course we have 2 beats in a bar here because we are in 6/8. We are expecting 2 dotted crotchet beats, and because they are dotted, of course we are in compound time. So we are in compound duple time here. Now in question 4, we are asked to identify, which means to figure, the following triads in any suitable key, so of course a major or a minor key, and then we need to indicate our major keys with capital Roman numeral letters and then minor keys with small Roman numeral letters. Now, if you do know any Europeans, they like to go ahead and do some things like this, which sort of makes my head spin. I don't know how they know what they're talking about. But if you're European and you don't do this, excuse me, but I've seen this a lot and it kind of annoys me because that's not actually how we figure stuff. I mean, how are we supposed to understand if this is a major or a minor or an augmented or a diminished type of chord that you're trying to show me? So when we are in a major key, we need to understand how to figure each and every degree of the scale. So for instance, if we are on a chord on the supertonic of a scale, how do we figure it? So of course it's going to be different in a major and a minor key. So right now I'm going to figure for us in purple and green, so major and minor. We're going to look at how to figure chords in a major key as well as how to figure chords in a minor key. Now of course I hope you know this already, so this is just something to tie it all up. But if you don't know it, I'm glad that you can learn it here for the first time, because it would be something that you need to implement in your daily musical life from right now onwards. So I remember when I was grade 3 level, I was in grade 9 at school. I was sort of doing theory on my own, doing a little bit of extra theory, you know, after hours, going for classes, but not really knowing or understanding or really gaining anything from that. But I was doing stuff above my grade level and above the school grade for sure. There were a few of us taking this higher grade theory, but we were really confused. And I had my parents buy me the Louis van Loggerenberg grade 3 music book of 2011. Yes, quite long ago. And that book is a beautiful book. Still is today. Mr. Louis van Loggerenberg makes every year editions of his books, so of course you can go ahead and find his books now. He is available. You can buy it from him directly, or you can buy it from shops such as All Music in Brackenfell, etc. But moral of the story is, his books are very self-study like, so whether you're a teacher trying to teach from there, trying to get ideas how to teach for the first time, that's great. But if you are a school student like I was, it was very helpful for me just to glean from what he wrote and then to practice a lot. Now of course no one checked my work, so especially when it came to melody writing and such, I did not gain the fullest marks or the best musical knowledge that I could, because of course in real life you do need that interaction with someone, and especially a music teacher. But if you have inactive music teachers, or if you really don't understand what your teacher's trying to say, it is good to get that book, but then also it is good to interact with someone that does know what's going on and someone that will help you know what's going on. And no putting down of any music teacher ever, it's just sometimes, you know, people can be good at music, but then they're not as good as conveying something, or maybe they're a little bit scatterbrained or whatnot. There are different types of personalities out there, so whatever your situation is, you can go out, you can go ahead, do things yourself, and I can pretty much guarantee you that in life you will meet different types of people, and you will meet good music teachers and music people out there. Even if it's not this year, even if you feel that that's not you or it's never going to be you, it comes. It really does come. I've met a lot of music people in my life, and I've had a lot of music teachers teaching me different things, different instruments, different types of academic content and topics, and you know, they've spanned the full range. They're on the full spectrum, and you will definitely meet the good ones out there. So never you fear But if you feel like you're in a spot right now and you do not have someone that you can link to at the moment, please do go ahead and look in the description for the email address for Mr. Louis van Loggerenberg, as well as a music shop that I know does sell his books. And so I bring up Mr. van Loggerenberg because from his books was the first time that I learned how to properly figure major, minor, diminished and augmented chords, and where they pop up in a major key or a minor key. So in a major key, we have, and I know the army bands, when they do music, they like to do this. They like to go major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And that's all to do with how chords come up in a major key. So in a major key, we have the tonic as major, supertonic as minor, mediant as minor, subdominant as major, dominant as major, submediant as minor, and then our leading note chord as a diminished chord. And of course your tonic is just major yet again, so we don't need to go ahead and rewrite that. But in a minor key is where things get a bit interesting. Of course you find your major and minor chords in a major key, and then you have this nice diminished chord on the leading note. But in a minor key you get some more interesting things. This is where we will find our augmented chord and some more diminished chords. So in a minor key, our tonic is minor. You can already see there's a difference between the major and the minor key. Our supertonic is diminished in a minor key. Our mediant is augmented. We have our subdominant that is minor. Our dominant is major. Our submediant is now a major, and then our leading note chord is a diminished chord. And what you will see is that our dominant chord is always major, whether it is in a major or minor key, and our leading note chord will always be diminished. So that's the same between a major and a minor key. But in a major key we have major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished chords. And then in a minor key we have minor, diminished, augmented, minor, major, major, diminished. And this is something that you can just get into your head, because this will be relevant from now and to infinity when you do music, because this is just the basics. So it's good to grasp this right now, because already from the very next level you will be applying what you know here in more complex ways. So do be sure to catch this and to get this, to memorize this and to know it as much as you know your key signatures off by heart. These are some things that you need to just know off by heart as well. So let us hop into the questions. So before hopping into this question and answering it, I have put down the example that UNISA has given us here. Now I've put it down just because the example is not 100% correct, it's wrong. And I'm pretty sure that in that exam session they would have said, excuse me everybody, just be sure that the example in question 4.1 is wrong. This is what you must add to make it a correct example, okay? So I don't doubt that that happened. But of course in front of us and on this past paper that I have bought and that maybe you will buy as well, doesn't come with a note like that. I'm just going to go ahead and correct it right now. So they say that the dominant is E, D, F sharp. And of course we know that that's not right. Of course that middle note of the dominant in any minor key needs to be raised. And of course we just know off the tip of our tongues that E minor has a D sharp. So that is the correct figuring of that chord. The dominant in E minor is B, D sharp, F sharp. Okay, so they would have wanted to give you this, and then you would have had to, for example, in this example, put down the key according to that, and then put down the chord according to this. So that is rather the correct figuring. Okay, so now we're going to answer this whole question, and I think I'm going to do it in blue. Of course, you're going to do this in pencil. But they want us to figure our key and our chord. So we get 2 marks, one for the key, one for the chord. And some of them we can already just outline that they are going to be minor straight away. Like this one, with that raised thing, can only be a raised 7th. And this one can only be a raised 7th. And I'm not even going to think then about the major versions of what these keys can be. I'm just going to go straight for the minor. So the minor with 2 flats, G minor. And then of course if I'm building it on the F sharp, that is the 7th degree, so that will be our leading note chord. And like we know, in G minor, the leading note degree is diminished. Okay, so we over here will get a mark for our key and a mark for our chord, and then we move on. So now we can either be in A major or F sharp minor, and literally we can be in either 2 of those keys. I'm going to show you now. So if you're feeling comfortable, just being comfortable, go with your major first. And if you're all feeling adventurous, you can go straight for that minor. And if you're feeling just very extra, you can think about both, but of course you do need to only put down one. Writing down both will not get you more marks here, unfortunately. But in A major, if you're looking at G sharp, B, and D, we are looking at a diminished chord here. We are looking at G sharp in A, and if we count in A major, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, it's in 7th. Yes, it is a leading note chord, so that would be diminished because any leading note chord in a major key will also be figured as diminished. But like I said, we can also think about this in terms of F sharp minor, because that's, the relative minor. It also has 3 sharps, and it doesn't have anything to do with the raised 7th here. But I just already know, because how we previously figured this chord in A major, we knew it was a diminished chord. Now it's not just going to change its stripes just because we're in a minor key. It's going to be a diminished chord. And where do our diminished chords lie in a minor key? Only on the supertonic and on the leading note chord. Now of course this also can't be the leading note. It's going to have to be the supertonic. Now let's test this. F sharp, G sharp. Hey, I get to stop there because it's just on number 2, and that is the supertonic chord. So F sharp minor, the supertonic chord, that would be G sharp, B, D as well. So either or, we can either have it as A major being the leading note, triad or chord, or as F sharp minor being the supertonic, and you'll see they're both diminished because, that is the nature of this chord that they give us. So either or would give you your 2 marks there. Then we move on to this key. It's in the bass clef, it has 3 flats, so we are either in E flat major or C minor. Let's start with the major. So we have E flat, and our lowest note here is F, so if you think about E flat F, I just stopped there, that is the supertonic degree. Now the supertonic is figured as a minor chord in a major key. Then of course if we go to C minor, this will also be a minor chord, and then we just have to think, how do we get to F from C? So C, D, E flat, F, if I'm thinking about the notes in C minor, and that's the 4th degree, so that's the subdominant. So either or would do you well here, so you can either go with E flat or you could go with the C minor. It doesn't matter. I think most people are just comfortable originally going with the major key, and if that's you, that's fine. If that's not you and you want to be extra intentionally or unintentionally so, go ahead and put down your minor key. It doesn't really matter because both chords will be correct. Then we move on to a chord with 4 flats. So we can either be in A flat major here or in F minor. So I'm just going to try F minor first, just because we tried the majors first with the others. So F minor, what is F in F minor? So easy. The tonic, and obviously the tonic in a minor key is figured as a minor chord. Then, of course, my alternative there would be A flat major, A flat, big A flat, dotty dotty, okay? Of course, they don't ask us to dotty dotty this. We don't have to dot because they actually give us a little square or rectangle within to write, and then we write in the block, and then we write our chord on the line that they give us. So they'll give us a line. We just need to figure, so how do I get to F from A flat? So I have A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F. That is on my 6th degree, so that is my submediant. And I figure the submediant chord as a minor chord in a major key. And if you want to write something like this down, how to figure your major key chords and how to figure your minor key chords, at the back of your paper, there will be lots of draft paper there. There'll be a lot of manuscript paper, some blank paper as well. So do go ahead and write this down. Something that you don't even have to erase afterwards if you put it there at the back. And you can just have it there for reference. No one will be looking at that or marking that. Of course, if you do write it somewhere where you are going to hand something in, you're going to have to erase it because the markers don't want to see weird stuff. So erase that. And even if you said something like, okay, my answer here is going to be F sharp, for instance, in this case, F sharp minor, the supertonic degree, but then you wrote somewhere on top, and it can be A major, the leading note degree. But no one wants to see that, even though you know what you're doing. It shows how clever you are. That's cool. But erase it. The markers don't want to see it, okay? If you write it right at the back, that's cool. You don't have to erase anything there. That's your own business, your own draft paper. But you're going to have to hand it in, but no one's going to look at it. So that's fine. But don't write stuff on your exam answer sheet where the questions are. Just don't do that, okay? Erase it if you do. Then, our final question. So we said we cannot even begin to think about this in a major key because that already gives it away. We are in B minor here. So B minor, we have D, F sharp, A sharp. Whew, I'm already getting an augmented vibe. So what is D in B? B, C sharp, D. Ah, it is augmented because we are on the mediant. And a mediant in a minor chord is figured as an augmented triad. And there we go. So I hope that this does help and simplify things a little bit. Yes, you only get 5 questions, but in total that will give you 2 marks for each. So if you do get this correct, you'll be getting 10 out of 10. And who doesn't want that? The next question is the very foundation to music. Now, if you thought you were dealing with foundations before, you weren't. This is the foundation. So 4-part harmony, very exciting. So here we also magically turn a triad, a 3-note chord, into 4 parts. So how do we get 3 to be 4? We have to have one of our 3 chord notes double itself. So first things first, we are going to be given something that's very blank and we have to fill in the rest. So we are asked to write in a key signature according to A major, C minor and F minor, after which they do give us a chord. It will only be primary chords at this stage, so only the tonic, the subdominant or the dominant, and then we have to outline these chords. So they do tell us in the official question, write the following primary chords in 4-part harmony with key signatures using the given soprano or bass note. So they will either give us a soprano note like over here and there, or a bass note. Then we need to go ahead and fill in the alto, tenor, bass, or the soprano, alto, tenor, or the alto, tenor, bass, and so on and so forth. So let's get started. First things first, A major's key signature. We just need to know 3 sharps. We already need to know what they are. And we just fold them in. And it should just roll, just like that. Okay, and if it's not that neat, we can make it neat. And then we need to know what's the tonic triad in A. Of course, we have A. We build it up in 3rd, C sharp, E. I'm going to double my root note here just because. So doubling rules can be very interesting and very much so in context, you know, when we are dealing with 4-part progressions. But right now, these are just isolated chords. So we can actually double any one of these 3 notes here. The tonic triad doesn't give us any trouble. We are allowed to double the root 3rd or 5th. But let's just see what doubling the root will do for us. So of course, we already have an E here. They give us an E. We need an A in the bass because that's our root note. So now we need another A and a C sharp. So I can put the C sharp over there and the A over there. That's fine. All I need to know at this stage is there can't be more than an octave space between my soprano and alto voice. No more than an octave space as well between my alto and my tenor voice. And no more than a spacing of a 12th, so an octave and a half between my tenor and my bass voice. That's why I can be very comfortable pushing my tenor voice as high as possible, because it can go up to an octave and a half, which is quite a big spacing, to tell you the truth. Also, by the way, tenors love singing high, so if you're thinking about this in good old-fashioned choir formula, the tenors will be fine up there. They like singing like that, even higher. So let's just test what happens when you swap those voices around. If I was to put the A over here and the C sharp over here, what would happen? There's going to be a massive gap between here and here, so that would be wrong, okay? And even if I did try and maybe push it up by an octave and then I put it there, but then there will be more than an octave gap between my alto and my tenor. So the way we had it originally, that's going to be the only way to do it. If we have it in this form with this doubling, C sharp over there and A over there. Say for instance, I wanted to double my E. I could do that very well. So I could then say A, C sharp, E, E. I already have my E, I need my A in the bass. I need a C sharp and an E. I can maybe go ahead and put a C sharp there if I really wanted to. I can go ahead and put my E there then. Okay, the alto is singing a bit high, but that's fine as long as it's not singing higher than the soprano. So that's fine. There is a 12th gap here. No more than an octave there, definitely no more than an octave there, that'll be fine. And you can also double the C sharp, then we can put the C sharp over here. For instance, if we were having 2 C sharps, okay. But I definitely like having 2 A's here, it feels grounded, and especially because it is the tonic chord, I will go ahead and put the A there, put the C sharp over there, and I think that leaves us in good stead. So for this question, you'll be allotted 12 marks in total. a single mark for your key, a note mark, and then times that by 3 will get you your 12. So for each of these little questions, you'll get 4 marks. So make sure to get your spacing right and to know what you're doing. Remember, the soprano voice needs to have the stem go up. The alto voice needs to have the stem go down. The tenor voice needs to have the stem go up. And the bass voice needs to have the stem go down. Okay, that's just how we do it. Then we have C minor. We need to fill in the key signature. So we're filling in quickly. They do give us the grand stave here, which means they're not going to give us a rewriting of a clef here. We just know that this is treble. We know that this is bass. We know we have to put in flats. There we go. So what is our dominant chord in C minor? So C, D, E flat, F, G. We have G, B, D. And this is a B natural because our 7th is going to be raised. For instance, they just give us our G. We need to go ahead and double one of these notes. So I'm going to go double our root. Okay, so we have a G. I'm going to have another G. I'm going to have the G over there. Going to put the D there, and then I'm going to put the B natural over there. So no more than a 12th here. That's good. No more than an octave here. No more than an octave there. So I'm in good stead. Then, for instance, if I want to double the D, I can as well, just for another option, because there are always more than one option in music things. There are also wrong options. So in the dominant chord, do not double the 3rd because B natural B as our leading note. We don't want to double our leading note. It just gets us in trouble, okay? So in the dominant, we can either double the root or the 5th. So before I double the root, and I'm pretty sure whenever you double stuff at this level, you just want to double the root just for safety purposes. We can experiment later on within the rules of experimenting within different chords. So the tonic, you can double anything. Dominant, you can double root or 5th. Here I'm trying to double the 5th. So I'm going to go D, B natural in the alto, and then D again in the soprano. And that's also good. There's a 12th there exactly. No more than an octave there, no more than an octave there. And then we're good to go. Then we move on to F minor. We need to fill in our flats. They do give us a hint that there is a D flat. This just means, yes, there's a D flat. It doesn't mean anything else. It just means there is a D flat. So we know that we have B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat in F minor. So yes, that just means we are good to go. We have a D flat there. So we fill in the same in the bass clef, and then we ask ourselves, what is the 4th degree in F minor? F, G, A flat, B flat, B flat. And here we have a minor chord, B flat, D flat, F. And I'm just going to double the root, so we're going to double the B flat. And I like to put minor triads or chords and their spellings in baby letters and then capital letters for major chords. But that's just me. It's just a habit that I developed over time. Don't know if it's a good or a bad habit, but I just do it. Okay, so then I have a B flat. I'm already out with my D flat, so I need another B flat and an F. So perhaps I put the B flat here and then my F over there, and then we're good to go. We can definitely have more options, but I think I'm just going to leave it at this for now. Then in question 4.3, we're also named the relative keys of what we just had in 4.2. So what's the relative of A major? What's the relative of C minor? What's the relative of F minor? So be sure that you are then naming a minor key here, a major key here, a major key here, because of course those would be the opposites and the relatives. So we have F sharp minor, E flat major, and A flat major respectively. In question 4.4, we're given a nice little comprehension style thing again. So it says writing the key in the given block. So again, a little square for us in which to fill the key. Then it says figure all the indicated chords. Use capital letters for major keys and small letters for minor keys. Now in this instance, we're only asked to figure primary chords. So tonic, subdominant, dominant. Now here we have a key with one flat. We can either be in F major or D minor. So of course in D minor we're expecting to start on D, maybe grow towards D at the end. We're expecting to see raised 7s or C sharps. I see none of that, so of course F major. I'm expecting to start on an F, expecting to see some F things at the end. I know the end of this little extract isn't the end of a piece, so we don't necessarily have to see dominant tonic over there, but I do see us starting on an F. over here, and I do see in the last bar that we grow from something on an F. So that's great. All of this solidifies we're in F major, so we write big F in the square. Then we have to see our chords. So we can either just look at the bass notes, which are in the bass clef. This is the lowest note, of course, and we can then ask ourselves, okay, what is F in F, for instance, that first chord that they ask us about. We don't have to look at the whole chord, sort of F, A, C, but we can. That's great, because it is good to know your whole chord situation, but we are not dealing with anything like inversions or, oh, the third's in the bass, the fifth's in the bass. No, only the root is going to be in the bass. So if I have a tonic chord, F, A, C, the F is going to be in the bass, and I can just know that for sure. They're only going to ask us that at this level. So even if I just look at that F that's in the bass, that's good enough. I know we're on the tonic. I put the tonic down. The next one, they ask us something that starts on a B flat, and the full chord there is B flat, D, and then F. I'm just reading the notes from bottom to top. And of course, that'll be on the 4th degree of F major. So that's the subdominant there. We figure it in big capital Roman numeral letters. Then after that, we have C, C, E, and then it does, move on to a G, some passing along things there in the melody. And of course, since that starts on a C, we are pretty sure that we are on the dominant chord there, C, E, G. And the last one they ask us there is in the very last bar, there's a bit of nothing, and then they ask us a final chord, and that one starts on F. So we have F, C, and A, translates us to F, A, C. And of course, since we start on an F there, we know that we're starting on the tonic. So this is the tonic triad there. Our next question, question 5, we start out with 5.1, complete the following melody. Now I have made a video on 4-bar melody writing in and of itself, so please do check that out. We go through a few things there, give you some hints and tips on how to get 8 out of 8 in this question. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and answer this one in front of us. So we are given a piece in F major, and knowing our key is very important, because knowing our key as well as our time signature is going to inform how we end, and how we end is very important. This is a short and sweet melody. We want to make it sound final and like a sweet little thing that you can hum. So of course we don't have access to humming or an instrument in the exam, but knowing this behind the scenes is going to inform how you write even for real instruments. So we need to end on a long tonic, which is a long F in this case because we're in F major. The longest note value that we can get in 4/4 time is a semi-brief. So I will just go ahead and put in an F semi-brief. So if we already phrase over here, we are halfway done. Now we need our dominant chord outlined for us in our second to last bar. And not just our dominant chord note, but also maybe a something in between. So an auxiliary note or a neighbor tone, as they say. So that means a note that's above or below your chord note. So say for instance, I have a C that is a chord note. Then if I have another C and another C and another C, I can actually go ahead and put something between those C's. So I can go an auxiliary below or neighbor tone below C. I can go a neighbor tone above C. And then of course, if I want to use a different chord note, I can. For instance, I can go C, E, and G. For instance, if my chord notes are C, E, G, like my chord notes are actually going to be C, E, G here. Because our key is F and we need our dominant F, G, A, B flat, C, we build our chord on C and it's going to be C, E, G. Now, what I like to do is start on the note that is closest to what they last gave us, and that's a G. We happen to have a G here, so I'll actually start on a G and I'll try to copy the rhythm that we have in bar 1. It can be any rhythm really that comes up here. I can even outline by 4 beats, so crotchet, 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 crotchet. That's good, but I definitely don't just want the fat semi-brief here, and I definitely don't want 100,000 demi-semi-quavers. I want to keep within what they have already given us. Okay, I'm going to go up to have a C, which is another chord note, and then that's not a chord note, but I can definitely use that as a passing note because it's between 2 chord notes, a C and an E. And then we just need to phrase, and that'll be good to go there. So I'll play this quickly and then we can make our final judgments. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So at this level, grade 3, yes, they do give us an indication of tempo as well as dynamics, but we don't need to do anything with those, or we don't need to change them. This melody is short and sweet enough. We never have to change our tempo indication, but as the grades get higher and higher, we can do something with our dynamics if we want to. And of course we should, because it will boost ourselves. Also then with articulation and so on and so forth. But at this level, we leave it as it is, and we will get 8 out of 8 for something like this. Now I think I'm going to try something a little bit different. I want to phrase so that I go not to the high tonic, but actually to this tonic over there. So let's see what we can do. We still have our dominant chord notes, C, E, G. I want to use at least 2 of those. And of course my middle note should come in, because that gives me tonality. Because when I have a C and a G, it's just open. I can't really tell, am I in a major key? Am I minor? Blah, blah, blah. And of course our dominant chord needs to be major. So the major chord, the E will give it away. If it's an E flat, or if there's no E at all, I don't know. Because of course E flat will mean that we're in a minor chord. But of course no E at all will give us confusion. So we need an E there. So maybe this time I'll start on the E and go a bit down. I think I'm going to copy the rhythm of just the second bar. That's a D, E, that's a chord note. There we go. So I am using all 3 chord notes here. I think I like using all 3 chord notes. The last thing left for me to do is to phrase. And let's see this one. So we have so nice, 8 out of 8 for this one as well. We go to the lower tonic. There we go. So we do have a few options, and of course these are not the only 2 options. Try it out for yourself at home, see what you come up with. Do make it nice and concise, because we only have 4 bars in total, and 8 marks with 8% if you do get this correct. In 5.2, we are asked to give the meaning of terms and signs. So please do study your terms and signs. Of course, we need to know our pre-grade 1 terms, our grade 1 terms, our grade 2 terms, as well as our grade 3 terms. Now, we need to know everything. Little heads up, for the past many years, even when I wrote it back in 2011, they usually only ask your grades terms at this level. So grade 3, they ask you solely grade 3 things. But don't be thrown off if something like allegretto comes in from pre-grade 1. I hope you do know that just off the bat, but if not, please do go ahead and know that you need to study all of your grades up to and including grade 3, although they'll probably throw you with some new terms like the German and the French ones, because up until now you've only had Italian terms, but now they do have more. So please be sure that you are more safe, let's put it that way, on your grade 3 terms than the others, but please do also just be ordinarily safe with the others. So here we have mesto, sforzato, zart, stringendo, and ben. So go ahead and fill those in, and we'll compare answers in a few split seconds. Question 5 and 3 is our final question of the whole paper. So here they ask us to write, also known as transcribe, that's a technical word here, transcribe the following 3-bar melody from Solfa notation into staff notation. So they give us Solfa syllables and punctuation. They do tell us, which is the most important thing, that do is F. So once we know that do is F, we can go ahead and put in our key signature for F major, which is of course a B flat. Then they give us 3 bars, and we need to fill in 3 bars. Now they do already outline our bars for us, great, we don't need to go ahead and draw any bar lines for ourselves, that is marked in for us, but we do need to know how many beats we have. So they do give us 2 semicolons here in the bar that separate our beats for us. In this grade we can go up to and including 4 beats in a bar. So before we just had 2/4 and 3/4. Now at this grade we can have 2/4, 3/4 or 4/4. But over here, I'm seeing space for 3 beats, 3 crochet beats. So we are definitely in 3/4 here. So we're going to go ahead and write in 3/4. Now, we have some extra punctuation at this level because we can also now add quavers. So not just minims or dotted minims or crotchets, but quavers. So we do see some dots happening for us here. We also see the upper do. Yay! So our upper tonic, we get to use it. So of course we get to choose where our F would lie and then where our upper F would be, but it would make most sense for our do F to be over here, and then for our upper tonic Do to be over there. That's a nice octave spacing, and we can actually write it beautifully here in the treble clef. Okay, so our first notes that they tell us to write happens to be a Do and a T, and it's the upper Do and T. It's separated by a full stop, and a full stop means we're splitting one beat into quavers. So two equal quavers there, Do and T, so F and E. That's our first beat. Then of course we're separated there by a colon. So basically, before the colon we have a beat, in the middle of these colons we have a beat, after the colons we have a beat, so beats 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we have beat 1 there. Then we're going to go ahead and have our beat 2, that's also a top Do, and it just takes up the space between the semicolons, after which there's a So. Now the So has a full stop after it, which means it's split by a quaver, but there's nothing that happens after that full stop, and nothing indicates a rest. So we have a quaver here and then a quaver rest, and that means we actually have our full 3 beats, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. So that's great. Let's fill in our second bar. We have a Mi and a Fa split, so Mi, Fa, A, B flat split into quavers. Then we have a Re crotchet, which is a G. Then we have a space that's open, a beat that says there is a rest. So we have to go ahead and fill in our crotchet rest there. So nothing doesn't mean, ooh, it's a long note, or ooh, there's nothing, so I have to write nothing. Remember, music doesn't work in nothings, it works in sound and silence. So here is a silence. So there we go. And then our very last note, it shows that we have a very long note because there are 2 dashes in the space for beats 2 and 3. So we have beat 1, there's something there. Then beat 2 and 3, they just show us, you know, to be extra long and long. So we have a full long note there on our Do. That's an F. And of course it needs to then count for the full 3 beats. So we have a dotted minim F there. So there we go. I hope that that has helped you prepare for your UNISA Theory of Music Grade 3 paper. All the best with the rest of your preparation, wrapping up everything, and do remember to always be systematic in your music. And remember to always play from original sheet music and to make your mark on original music resources.